Welcome, everybody, to an exclusive edition of The Sheriff. Guys, do I ever have a treat for you? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind everybody that on August the 6th, 2022, in Dock, Alberta, there was a competition that's only been done once before, ICEWARS International. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there was an 8-man welterweight tournament. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you one thing, I've never seen so much action. I've never seen such fierce competition. And I'll tell you one thing, if anybody watches ICEWARS 2, the biggest thing that you're going to be impressed with is how many rounds the king of the rink went. And ladies and gentlemen, I just happen to have the king of the rink welterweight champion right now. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world, I would like to introduce to you my guest tonight. He hails from Strathmore, Alberta. At 5'11", 200 pounds, he is a welterweight. He is a professional bullfighter and hockey player. He led all pro hockey in fighting majors last season. He has over 300 career fights, ladies and gentlemen. He is the current welterweight king of the rink for ICEWARS, the current heavyweight for the Columbus River Dragons. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, my good buddy, Justin Schmit. How are you doing tonight, my man?
Oh, buddy, I don't know if you or Brady Leopold introduces me the best. It's a close race.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I love being in the same conversation as Brady Leopold, a.k.a. Puck Support, a.k.a. Mental Health Hockey. I got to give a shout out to him. But Schmitty, I'm so excited to have you on, buddy. And one reason for that is because, dude, I try to think of myself as a character in the sport. That's why I'm trying to get over to the media side. I want to entertain people on TV. But you, my friend, I think right now that you are the biggest character in hockey. And I'll give you a couple of reasons why. Well, first of all, I want to hear your feedback from that. Then I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why. Do you think you're the biggest character in hockey, Justin Schmit?
Oh, I try not to think about that, because then my head will grow too much.
Yeah, I hear you, buddy. Now, okay, that's an answer that I like, because you're humble. I like that you're down to earth, Schmitty. But I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why. Now, I have been promoting lately that I believe every professional hockey player should be using their platform properly, should be making the game more popular by promoting it, and should be entertaining our hockey base. Brother, you do all those things through and through, from Tub Talk to just your regular social media posts. Like, not only is it entertaining, Schmitty, but it gets people interested in our game. And you're playing in the South, and that's very important, my friend. What do you think about all that?
I got to pinch myself most days to think that I'm still playing at this age and in getting to play in the South, right? Like, when I can get up, go to practice, and it's 35 degrees out by lunchtime, and in the middle of October, and you can play 18 holes of golf every day. I'm pretty blessed in that aspect.
100%, buddy. And like, the thing is like, I almost kind of look forward to what's going on with you, because, I follow you very closely. You're definitely the most entertaining person on my feed. And when stuff like Tub Talk comes around, it's not like, I want you to say it right now, Schmidt. Say that slogan that you say. Another day. Let's hear it from the man himself.
Do you know?
Say it again, ready?
Another day in single A.
Another day in single A, buddy. That is so classic, buddy. I love it. It's original, bro. So listen, I want to get into your league right off the hop.
I wish I could take credit for it, but I don't know if you ever played with. Did you ever play with Johnny Gerskis?
Never played with him, but I know who he is.
Yeah. We played together in Winston-Salem about 15 years ago. And it was his last. I'd probably been in the minors for 5 or 6 years, and it was his last season. And we lost. I remember he'd always say that to me in the morning. How you doing, Johnny? Oh, you Boston kid, eh? No, another day in single A, Schmitty. He got hit. We lost to Jacksonville in the playoffs, and like he was kind of the guy I looked up to in Winston-Salem, because he was probably, you know, how old I am now. And I was just a young kid. And I remember when we lost, he wasn't a very emotional guy. Like, he played emotional, but he was pretty, you know how those Boston kids are, right? They're pretty sarcastic.
They're sarcastic and they're always willing to battle.
Oh yeah. And they're always funnier than, they're the funniest human beings. Like, I always end up like having one or two of them Boston guys on my team every year.
Yeah.
They're such good guys. But yeah, when we lost to Jacksonville that year in the first round. And I remember he knew that was his last season. And I remember he was crying in the dressing room after. And I remember I looked over at him and then I was like, got all teared up too.
So Schmit, because we're talking about when you were younger, I gotta ask you about this one story, man, that I've heard it on the internet. I don't know if it was on a podcast or what it was, man. I saw it somewhere, interview. Let's talk about the Chief. Let's talk about the guy, he was the captain of where you're playing now, right? And then you played against him when you were just a young fella, and you did really well. Can you tell that story and then the gas station story after?
So Chief was Columbus's captain when I was in Huntsville, and he was like my coach. My coach Jerome Bouchard is like royalty in Columbus and Phoenix City. Like, the other day we were at Home Depot or something together, and like, people just everywhere. Oh man, you're Jerome Bouchard. And like, these aren't even people that have been to it. They're like, no, never been to a game before, but they're just pumped to see him. Like, he's like, they wouldn't recognize Wayne Gretzky down here, but he's like, it's unbelievable how like, everywhere we go, and he's probably the most famous person in Columbus.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, so anyway, so I get sidetracked.
Okay.
So we were playing against Columbus, and it was a home and home. We played a Friday night in Huntsville, and then Saturday we were here. And Stalzy was tough, but he was a good player too. Like, he was Columbus's captain. He was a good player.
Like a Wendell Clark type guy, or?
Yeah, he was. I don't know how big the Chief was. Probably 6'1", 210, but like, solid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, we were. I can't remember the score, but him and I fought in the first, and just the way it worked, I caught him and I split him open like right over his eye. So he was leaking, and we got to the penalty box, and like, I was not scared of him, but he was, a guy that, when you're a young guy, when you're fighting, you kind of, I kind of looked up, kind of a nice feather in my hat. And he was so pumped for me. He's like, Schmitty, look what you did, man. You got me good, kid.
No way.
So they zipped him up. And then at the end of the game, there was just a little skirmish, and I think we lost that night, and I was all pissed off. So I came in from the blue line and was going to jump some little shit on Columbus. And all of a sudden I see this pair of gloves in front of me, and Stahl spins me around. And so we fought, and this was at the end of the game in a brawl already. So I think we both got 1 or 2 games each for it. So we were both sitting out that night in Columbus the Saturday night. So in between periods, I don't know if you've ever been to Columbus. Probably. No. So our rink it sits right on the Chattahoochee River. So like, the rink backs onto you can see Alabama from, like, I live in Alabama, but I play in Georgia, because like the river, kind of the river's the border. So after warm-ups or something, I walk, there's a gas station, there's a bunch of gas stations, and it's kind of a little bit rougher area, right? And so I walked over to the gas station to get something, and there's even now, like 20 years later, it's the same. Like, just there, there's all sorts of characters hanging out behind there and hanging out.
You said that very nicely.
Oh, I go in and like I was just a skinny little kid. I think my first year I was like 170 pounds or something. I had this big curly, and all these characters like surrounded me, right? And they were trying to scare me. You still there? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're trying to scare me, right? And I was like, oh my God, like I'm definitely gonna get beat up by these guys or mugged or something, right?
Yeah.
And I remember this truck pulling up into the parking lot, and Scalzi opens the passenger side door and he's like, "Shmit, get in, buddy."
Really? Okay. Your main nemesis on the other team, a famous veteran that you happen to have a great tilt with, who gives you credit when credit's due, but then you guys have a round 2 later in the game, so a 2-fight night. Great job by the Warriors, but then you have to do some Warrior stuff in the real world across the street. And dude did save the day, though, right?
Yeah, totally. That was kind of one of those things. I was like, man, you are a leader. Like he was a leader. You know what I mean? Like you're just one of those guys. You know, I never played with him, but I played against him. And I mean, his jersey is retired here in Columbus for a reason. He was definitely carried that presence on the ice and off the ice, that he was, just an intelligent human being, right?
Yeah, 100%. So, Schmitty, let's talk more about your league, bro, because there's been some changes that have gotten some attention. And what I mean by that is that there just so happens to be almost a handful of guys from Ice Wars, right, that are now in the Federal League. So the heavyweight king of the rink, Daniel Amesbury, he's in Danbury out of all the teams. Imagine that. So he's in Danbury with the hat tricks. John Nasty Marasti, the toughest man in the 1982 age group, in my opinion, is in Binghamton. So those are 2 legit heavyweights. Then there's yourself, my friend, that led everybody that played hockey, period, in fighting last year and did extremely well. You are the current welterweight. I know, Schmitty, like I'm saying the weight class properly, right? Welterweight.
Oh, I'm cruiserweight.
This is okay. So that's why I'm asking you, because I'm saying welterweight.
I box. I fought MMA at welterweight.
Okay.
But I for IceWars I fought at cruiserweight. Cruiserweight's
170 to 205.
I believe in in our new sport, that's what it is. But I believe in boxing weight classes, I think cruiser's 190 to 205 ish.
Okay, so the reason why AJ and company did that was to ensure that certain fighters would be able to participate, obviously, by opening that. Yeah, right on.
And I mean, it's obviously for especially a new sport like that. I mean, it's obviously fighter safety too, right? Because you go into an event like that and you have a 190 guy fighting a 260 pound guy like Derek Parker or something. It doesn't matter how tough. Probably not going to have very much success against a guy twice his size,
Exactly. Unless your name is Justin Schmit, that is.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, Schmitty, how many times have you had to fight a guy 230 plus?
Oh,
220 plus?
My whole
Many
career.
times.
Right. Yeah. And it's, I mean, obviously IceWars is a little more of a controlled environment than say a hockey fight, right? Like,
oh yes,
it is what it is. And, to be honest with you, Sheriff, like I look back at my career, so a lot of times it's actually easier fighting a guy bigger than me.
Yep.
Maybe it's just because I've done it so much, but like some of them small guys are tough. They move faster.
Yeah.
They can squirm inside on you. It's a totally different thing.
Dude,
like
I told
you before by some little dudes,
I totally agree with you. I tell people that I would rather fight a guy my height at 6'4" than a guy 5'11", which is your official height, right, Schmitty?
Yeah, yeah. I'm
5'11".
They
Or
say
6
5
feet. What is it?
to 5'10".
Okay. So, but 5'11" is legit to say.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I fight a guy that's your size, okay, now I'm talking now, is Johnny the same height or is he about 5'10"? Muraski.
I think Johnny's a little shorter than me.
Okay. So that's a good example then. Because I've never fought you, but I've fought Johnny.
Right.
I would rather fight a guy that's my height, like a Brandon Sugden, than a John Muraski. And the reason why is because, dude, us tall guys with long reaches, we don't get hit. We don't get hit if we know what we're doing half the time, right? You guys are susceptible to getting hit every time. And you guys have taken that your whole careers. I just believe you guys are tougher than the tall guys. Straight up, bro.
No, you gotta work with what you've been given. You gotta play the cards that you were dealt, right?
You do.
I think you learn how to get hit. Like, like you know as well as I know, like if you're sticking your chin out way out there, you're probably not going to have much success, right? So I mean, you can even tell like guys that fight on the inside, you can just tell by the damage that I've taken in my face over the years. But you said I'm still going. I've been pretty fortunate, touch wood. I hate talking about the
No, I know, like the risk.
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, I haven't been knocked out. Like,
yeah. I'm looking at your neck right now. I'm looking at your neck. I know that you got some additions to it. Can we talk about that? Just because it's on my mind right now. And this is a video podcast, so most of the audience are going to watch this, right?
Yeah.
So what did you finish on the neck, bro? Like what was the last thing that you just did?
I got the rose finished up this summer. My buddy, my tattoo artist, Dave Cross, back in Alberta. Actually, I wasn't really planning on going back to Alberta. ICEWARS came up, so I was happy to be able to finish it because obviously, once you have an artist, you want to stick with them. So I started the Sacred Heart a couple years ago, and then I I added the praying hands with the rosary on this side. And then, so I finished up with the rose, and then on the back, I don't really know if you can see it, but I got the skull back there. I always thought neck sleeves were cool. You don't really see them on hockey players very often.
No,
I think
you don't, bro.
The only other player I know of that had a neck sleeve is Dave Massey.
David Massey.
I
got the opportunity to play with him.
You did play with him?
I played with him for the Marquis de Jonquière in the LNH. Yes.
I watched him play for Sorel.
Yeah.
Montreal. I went to one of Parker's games in Montreal. I had a boxing match in Montreal.
Wow.
And
he was the captain, right, of Sorel?
He was the captain, yeah.
Yep.
And I watched that guy play, and like I played against him somewhere he was in the Central League. I'm sure I played against him somewhere, but I don't really.
It was when he got sent down when he was in the AHL. He spent some time in the Central League.
Yeah. And I really didn't remember him at that time, but then I watched him play in Sorel, and like a big body. I couldn't believe how good this guy was. And then I Googled him, and then I was like, holy shit, man. Like, this guy's the real deal.
Yeah.
He was actually, like in that game I watched, ex-NHL guys playing in that game, ex-NHL guys, American League guys. And I was like, holy shit, man, this guy is unbelievable. Like, he controlled the game, killed penalties, quarter power play. He was massive.
Yeah, he can fight too, man.
Yeah, he was something else. But yeah, he's the only other hockey player I've ever seen with a full neck sleeve, I think.
I am right on point with you. because that's the same for me. I've only seen you and Massey. Now, here's my question for you. How awesome did you think his neck sleeve looked in that uniform, bro? With
What's
the
up?
helmet, you see the helmet, you see the visor, then you see the neck, bro.
Yeah.
Right? How
Yeah.
awesome is it? How awesome do you think it looks on someone else?
I like, you know, like, obviously, like it's a pretty loud statement, but I love my neck sleeve. Like I don't know, it's kind of my signature. You know what I mean? In some ways, right?
Now let me ask you this, Schmitty. Let me ask you this. Do you like when you go anywhere, if it's a store, gym, like whatever, could be anywhere, church.
Yeah.
When you go in there, do you kind of do you kind of watch for people's reactions? Not that that you're thinking it's going to be bad or good, but do you just kind of like you know how you have to like get a feel for people? Like if you're going to have such incredible art on your neck that's very unique. If I had that, I think I would master analyzing how people are reacting to my art. Some people are going to love it.
It depends on the situation. Like I said, especially in the South where tattoos aren't as prevalent. I notice a lot of times people check it out. But yeah, it depends. Like at rodeos especially, they really like, people are like,
wow.
And even, and like I said, I don't see it as being judged. I just see it as people are like, whoa, that's kind of cool. You know?
Yeah.
Like you don't get, you know, you get tattoos to make whatever. It's not even really a statement for me. I just think it looks good, you know, like it's not like I'm trying, you know, they're obviously like religious tattoos. But they're not, it's not a huge statement. I just think they look nice and they're, you know, kind of you know, I guess it's kind of a testament to, you know, my religious beliefs. You know, they're not, people don't have to question my religious beliefs because they can look at my neck and be like, oh, okay. Right.
Yeah. There you go. So now it looks amazing, Schmitty. I'm a big fan of it. Okay. On a hockey player, man, like me and you just pointed out, it is 1 in a million, bro. Well, two in total, right? Because I don't think there's anyone else, bro. Like they might have something, but not sleeved is the proper term, right? When it's covered.
My full necks. I call it a neck sleeve, I guess. A turtleneck.
Yeah. So, dude, hats off to you, man. Like that is some cool, really cool stuff. Now, let me ask you this. If like people that don't get to see the video that are listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, whatever platform, ladies and gentlemen, we're on the ball, and they're listening to this, and they're probably thinking like, I wish I could see what the hell they're talking about, right? Do you have anywhere like on your social media where you show it like professional pictures that people can check it out if they're not able to see the video?
My buddy Dave Cross, my tattoo artist, he's out of Strathmore, Alberta. Like obviously you can see on his website, his tattoo studio is called Screws Loose Tattoos.
Screws Loose Tattoos.
Yeah. Screws Loose Tattoos. And then yeah, like on even on the Columbus River Dragons webpage, like you can, and all my pictures, you could see it when they post, you know, pictures of hockey pictures and stuff. And like on my Instagram, J Schmitty Fighter.
Yep.
You can, yeah, they're definitely
J Schmitty Fighter.
You betcha.
Yep. So there's a lot of pics on there on your profile.
Yep.
They can check that out. Because I know a lot of people are going to be like, man, these guys are saying it's the best thing they've ever seen, and I can't see it. So, ladies and gentlemen, check out Schmitty's Instagram page. You'll be able to see it if you can't see it now. I just think it's really cool, dude. I had it written down. I'm like, hey, we got to talk about the neck. And then I was just staring at it, and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna ask him right now because it's really, really cool stuff, man. So now, Schmit, listen, man. You're a professional fighter, bro. You've been doing this a long time. You're even like on another level because you fight professionally in other sports. Like
Right.
you're the real deal, man. Like there's no hiding like with Schmitty. Like what you see is what you get. Like this guy's like, can you explain the other fighting that you do, Schmitty?
Yeah, like I started boxing. Actually, to be honest with you, I started boxing when I was a kid, just like to get in shape for hockey. You know what I mean? It was just part of my hockey training. Because I feel that probably boxing is probably the best cross training for a hockey player. Footwork, angles, contacts. You know, not necessarily, I'm not saying like a hockey player should get in there and fight or spar, but even just the boxing training, I think it's different, you know, so it keeps it fresh. But I think it's probably the best cross training for hockey. So I started boxing when I was a kid. And then I don't know. I was later on, probably early 2000s, I took my first had my first amateur MMA fights.
Right on.
And then I had some success. I fought a few times in some pretty strange places. I fought down in Mexico a couple times, which was interesting. And then I went pro MMA. I had my first pro MMA fight, probably 12 or 13 years ago. I'd have to look back at my record and know the exact date. It was funny. So my pro debut, my brother Eric fought on the same. He was on the undercard that night.
No way, bro.
Which was pretty neat.
Amazing.
It was actually a really neat memory, even though we both got our asses kicked that night. But it was just a memory for us to be able to fight on the same card as my brother, and he passed away. 9 or 10 years ago now.
Yeah. God bless his soul, man.
So it's it's a nice memory to have, right?
100%.
So then I hadn't fought the last boxing match I had was in 2019 in Montreal. That was when I watched Parker play. So I flew into
COVID.
And I fought Jan Pellerin. Do you remember him?
Jan Pellerin, of course. I played with him in Saint-Hyacinthe.
Yeah. So he was coming up. I think he's like 15-1 now or something.
But he's doing unreal.
And he's a really nice guy. I really liked him. But so we're in Montreal at the casino, which is a pretty neat venue. And the hometown guy in Montreal, they love him.
Oh yeah.
And Parker, I asked Parker to be in my corner. He's cornered me a lot of my fights over my career. Like he's cornered me in a lot of fights over the years.
He's a good corner guy, eh? That's why you keep bringing him back.
He's just a great human being. I love him.
Yeah, he's a really good guy.
So I'm fighting Jan Pellerin, and my coach Mike Short was in my corner too, and I'm pressuring up on Jan, and I got him in a corner, and they're like, keep pressuring him, don't stop. And it's early in the first, like 2 minutes into the first round, and whap, 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 and I'm like just weighing on him, and I took half a step back, and I hesitated for a split second, and I woke up all tangled up in the ropes, and I get back to my corner, and I'm all delusional, and I'm like, Parksy, man, like I can't believe the ref stopped it. Like, you think he would have let me keep going? Parksy goes, I guess he figured after he counted to 10 he had no choice but to stop it.
Oh, Schmitty. So Okay, so now we both and the fighters out there know what happened, but explain in layman's terms what happened and what you didn't realize.
Just I mean, John was just a better boxer than me that night. He just caught me. I watched it over and like caught me to the body, and I kind of dropped my hands and then got me right on the chin as I was falling forward. And he like stepped up the way, and I just got hung up in the ropes, like sound asleep in the ropes. And yeah, just one of those things. It's never been knocked out, but it's quite a feeling actually when you wake up. You're like, where am I? Who am I? But it is what it is. So it's actually, so I hadn't competed for a few years, and then I always, I competed in kickboxing, competed in boxing, competed in jiu-jitsu, competed in MMA. So then now with bare knuckle boxing is kind of making a big comeback, from the early 1900s. And like there's a lot of ex-UFC guys fighting in the BKFC, and a manager down in Mississippi contacted me, and we're right now we're shooting to make my pro bare knuckle debut in 2023 at some point. So next summer. That to me, that'll be the cherry on top. That's the highlight. Like it's always been like, even when I was a kid, I remember how like cool I thought bare knuckle boxing was. You know what I mean? I've always, I don't know, for whatever reason, I've always thought it was the coolest of all the combat sports. I thought bare knuckle boxing was. So to be able to compete as a bare knuckle boxer, and especially with BKFC, the organization is unbelievable. Like all these huge name guys that I've grown up watching are making the transition to bare knuckles, right? So I think it's going to be exciting for sure.
See, now you can see me smiling when you're saying all this, and like the reason why I'm doing that, Schmitty, is because like I'm listening to you, right, and like I guess the best way to describe what I want to say is that the only people that talk the way that you just did about what excites them, what they're looking forward to, are real fighters, bro. Because I'm telling you one thing, man. There's so many levels to it, Schmitty, and like I know you could probably explain it better than me, but I had the opportunity to get my boxing license the first time around in the LNAH. I have 2 amateur boxing matches, okay? And when I did that, from just being a hockey fighter, I was on a whole other level. To go in the ring is a whole other level. To actually spar with somebody is a whole other level. And this is me after, I think I had like maybe 300 pro fights at that point.
Right.
So, Schmitty, explain the level that goes up for the bare knuckle, bro. Like I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah, it's gonna be different, like I said, but like realistically, I fight bare knuckles once a week. Sometimes 3 times a night. But
you're on skates,
definitely
bro.
Be different. Just the fact that like, you obviously don't have 5 2-minute rounds. Fight. But
5 2-minute rounds.
That's what they. Yeah. So it's a.
Whoa. That's
instead of a 3 or 5-minute round like MMA, it's 2-minute rounds. So I think it kind of keeps the action up too. My hands, like I said, touch wood, my hands have been, they've taken damage like every. What's that?
You've been blessed, bro.
I've been fortunate. I've obviously broke my hands a few times, but some of those guys, like I played with guys, and you've played with guys that play the whole season with a broken hand and are fighting with a broken,
Yes.
Been lucky haven't had that. So I mean, I think that's the biggest concern, is just looking after my hands. And bare knuckles, like I said, it's bone on bone, so there's definitely a lot more, obviously a lot more like damage you'll take as a fighter. It's like Muay Thai, right? You see all those Thai boxers, they're all cut up all over, right? So yeah. I mean, I got enough scar tissue over my eyes, that hopefully I'm all right, but this is the worst place to get cut in a boxing match because the blood obviously runs in your eyes. You get cut here, it's cosmetic, but up here, you lose your sight pretty quick when you got an eye full of blood, right? So
yeah,
it'll be different. It's definitely gonna be something, but you know as well as I know, like there's no, fighting on the ice is one thing because you can. I mean, most of the fighters have a certain amount of respect for one another. Obviously, if somebody does something dumb to one of my teammates, that's when I get pissed off and I go out and I might do something dirty in the fight. But like in a combat sports situation where it is an individual sport, there's no hard feelings or animosity. Typically, I typically always pray for my opponent because, before the fight, after the fight, for their own safety. Because cool. without your opponent, you don't have a fight. Like you got to be. I'm forever grateful to all my opponents because without them, I wouldn't be able to make a living doing what I'm doing.
Yes, bro. And I don't think you could have said it any better than that. That's really, really cool, man. I appreciate you going into that depth. I don't know if you can notice, but I'm on the edge of my couch listening to you, right? No, seriously, it's pretty cool stuff, man. I know that the audience really appreciates it. So now the Federal Hockey League, bro, I can't get over this. And the thing is there was so much noise around your league because teams like Danbury, they brought in a couple guys from IceWars. Like they brought in the Haymaker, Justice Smoke. And so they must have brought him into training camp maybe, and then things just didn't work out, or what happened there?
Too sure what happened there. Like I said,
didn't the Loose Cannon get an invite too? There was two people other than Amesbury, wasn't there?
Yeah, but I know Amesbury's the only guy on their roster now.
Yeah. Yes.
So what happened? I don't know. Like I said, it's especially training camp. So there's so much movement in the minors, right? Because right from the NHL, it just topples all the way down.
Domino effect. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm excited. Like I said, I'm excited that Amesbury's in Danbury, that Johnny's in Bingo. Obviously, they're not in our division, which, so we don't see them as much as we see Mississippi or Carolina.
But you will play against them, though.
Yeah, we play. I'm not sure
when we play. First game?
What's that?
When's the first game against Amesbury?
December 3rd here in Columbus. We play Danbury December 3rd.
Wow.
Oh no, I got that on my calendar for sure.
Yeah. So hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to remind everybody what's happening here, okay? So IceWars International, the most amazing company on the planet. I'm talking to the Cruiserweight King of the Rink, Justin Schmit. The heavyweight King of the Rink is on Danbury. They are going to play against each other in a professional hockey league, the Federal Hockey League, on December the 3rd. Guys, you have to watch IceWars to understand how big of a warriors these two gentlemen are. And I'm telling you, the storyline of them playing against each other in a professional league, truly, does it get you excited, me just talking about it?
It does, for sure. Well, you know how it is. You definitely, when you start thinking of you playing it in your head. And I mean, there's that certain degree of anxiety and that fear of the unknown. You have to go in and fight a tough guy like Amesbury. But I mean, I'm very great. I'm very excited and grateful. And the cool thing about that is he actually started his career in Columbus.
Oh, wow.
So, and like, so he's a well-known guy in Columbus. So
Wow.
coming back to play against Columbus, against myself, it's going to be neat. It's really, I'm super excited for him, for us, for our organization, for obviously for Ice Wars. It's a really cool thing, right? And
Yeah.
we do, especially in this league, we definitely bring a little bit of that old school, that's I think it's really just us and the LNAH left out there with that, that do consistently carry, a few tougher guys in their lineup, right?
Yes, absolutely, man.
Which is awesome. Like I said,
yes, please.
I love being able to play that way still, because obviously hockey has gone away from the like fighting and having, and I hate when people call them staged fights. That's one like,
if there's anything it's not, is staged,
right?
The only agreement is the timing.
Off a face-off, and there's a mutual like respect, but it's anything but staged. Like it's as real as it comes, and it's used as a tool to help your team gain some momentum or
turn the game around.
Turn a game around, and the one thing I think a lot of people don't realize is that when it's turning into a really chippy game.
Yeah.
A lot of times the two tough guys will go out and just kind of, okay, boys, we'll just settle this between us. And then you guys all go back to hockey so that way somebody doesn't get sick in the face or something, right?
That's right.
People forget that. And even some of these young guys, this new generation of young guys don't realize that. You know what I mean?
I saw it, and thanks for saying that, Schmit. I saw a really good example of that last year in the playoffs with Toronto, with that is it Foligno? Who was it that was on Toronto where one of the Leaf defensemen got hit and it was like a knee on knee, but it wasn't intentional. Right. I think it was Montreal. Maybe it was in the playoffs. It was Montreal, I think. And then so they fought. This was the Leafs against somebody. It doesn't matter what the teams are. They fought, right? Because the rest of the game would have been chippy because of that controversial hit. But because the guy that did the hit fought the Leaf right after the next shift or whatever, it settled the whole game down back to hockey.
Right?
It would have been a disaster if it didn't happen.
Totally, and that's one thing that's unless you're really in it, you wouldn't understand it. I don't think a lot of fans understand that. Like, why'd you guys fight? You guys weren't pissed off at each other. You were winning, but it's like, no, sometimes you just gotta, it's for whatever reason, and it's the only sport I think it's lacrosse, but I don't know much about lacrosse. But it's the only sport where fighting is still is a tool. It's as big a part of a game as scoring goals and stopping pucks.
100%, buddy. 100%.
And it's a cool part of the game. I think. I think it's. There's some people out there that don't like it. But I think it's part of the game that's very unique. And they go. I don't want to touch on it too much. But I've been asked about like with all these the mental health struggles and with all these ex enforcers with their with struggling with drugs and alcohol and mental health and suicide. Like, do you think that it has anything to do with it? And I don't know 100%. I mean, obviously CT must be real. Like with they're with all this research and stuff, but like they ask, would you take fighting out of the game? And I think it's important for guys to be educated and know what they're getting themselves into. But I wouldn't change a thing about it. That would be like saying, well, tackling in football is dangerous. All these football players are having mental health issues. Well, they know what they're getting themselves into. They know that they're going to get tackled. They know they're going to get hit, and I think that's part of the risk of it, So taking fighting out of the game would be a huge shot to the game. You know what I mean?
It would, Schmitty. I agree with you 100%. Taking fighting out of hockey would make hockey more dangerous. Okay,
100%.
No one that would have to take responsibility for anything, and all hell would break loose, bro. We all know that that's what would happen. We all lived in bullied societies where even though you're not supposed to bully, but if you know a bully's there, you're not going to bully someone because you're not going to want to get bullied. So it's like we're policing our own game, right? We're policing our own game. We're making it safer. And Schmitty, honestly, bro, I'm going to have to bring you back for a fighting in hockey segment because I know that you're so good at this topic, the pros and cons and whatnot. I have a bunch of ideas that I think the NHL should adopt, right? And I think that Ice Wars has shown the world that hockey fighting can be more safe. It's going to be controversial, Schmitty, but you see the gloves that we wear for Ice Wars?
Yep.
You don't think that could be in a compartment on your pants? And if it really had to go down, that when you dropped your gloves, you don't think that you could slip those things on where you have to give 5 seconds for the gloves to come on and then it's rock and roll? Everybody's insured. It's a discussion. And fighting coaches, tough guy coaches, Schmitty, there's 2 goalies on every team, right? There was 2 tough guys at every team. Why wasn't there a tough guy coach? There was a goalie coach. There was a face-off coach. There was a special teams coach. There was all these weird coaches.
I do feel that kids should there should be more clinics for hockey fighting because protect yourself because I was fortunate that we both played in that era where we fought a lot in junior. So it wasn't a shock to me when I went. Obviously, it was different going from fighting teenagers in junior to being 20 fighting grown men with beards and mortgages and families. That was kids. Yeah, that was different. It was different, but I was completely comfortable fighting by the time I made the transition to the pros. But now there's these kids that come out of junior or come out of college and like even with they go from wearing a cage to going to wearing a half windshield, but they don't know how to protect themselves in a fight. If a fight does break out, they're just throwing wildly. That's when guys get hurt.
Oh yeah, they don't know what they're doing.
They don't have a clue what they're doing, and like I didn't put a half windshield on until 2011, I think was the year.
Okay.
First year I had to wear one was 2011. And I took way more sticks in the face after I put a half visor on.
Oh yeah.
For a reason. And like even now, like I've actually been trying to weasel it. I've talked because there's only myself, Whitey, and one other guy in our league that played from that era at that time, and none of us wore windshields. No mandatory visors. And I've actually called the league about it, but nobody's gotten back to me. I'm trying to get it. I have to wear one, but nobody's gotten back to me.
No, that's hilarious, bro. So who do you guys have coming up? Who's the next opponents for like this weekend? I know most of the games are usually on the weekend in the Federal League, correct?
Yeah. Especially for us because we're so far south. We're actually lucky this year that we're in the Southern Division, or the Continental Division we're called, I guess.
Yeah.
So we don't have quite the travel schedule that we did last year.
Yeah.
We played Mississippi once in exhibition. So we're down in Biloxi, Mississippi, Friday, Saturday, and we play them 4 times in Mississippi in the next 2 weeks. And then
who's their guy, Schmitty? Who's their guy? Did they have a guy?
They got Joe Pace, old buddy.
Pace is there.
Joe Pace is there. Yeah, I fought him 7 times last year.
No, I know. I forgot that was the team. So Pace. So he's the guy. There's no one else it would be, right? It's only Pace for you.
Pacer, their captain, Justin Barr, is a pretty tough dude. I actually fought a young kid in exhibition. He came up to me like super respectfully. And he said, in Mississippi in exhibition, he came up to me and he's like, "Hey man, like, I'm trying to make this team, you know. Would be a definitely help me let them know I mean business. I know he's around, but I don't think he's getting in the lineup too much. So did
you give him the opportunity?
I did. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, he was a tough. He actually caught me, put my teeth through my lip. So he was a tough kid. I mean, you know how a hockey fight goes. I landed on top of him.
Yeah. So, you landed on top. So big dude?
Thick kid, little bit, probably my height, probably a little thicker, like probably I'm walking around, I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm walking around at 235 right now. So.
Are you really, Schmitty? Wow. So you ain't no cruiserweight, my friend.
No, I'm right.
You're a super heavy right now, bud. Or is it heavyweight? Is it 230 plus?
It's it's just all this southern cooking, man.
Well, hey man, you look good.
I feel I'm in good shape.
It's not bad weight.
No, I'm in good shape. It's just
the weight's on.
The weight's on me. Yeah, like every 10 years I gain about 10 pounds every 10 years. Like my body just slowly like I said, when my first year in the minors, I was 20 and I was 170. Okay. And then I bulked up because I think my first year I had 30 some majors as a 5'10", 170 against some monsters, and I was just too small.
So impressive.
I bulked right up to about 195 that summer.
Yeah.
And then I was 5. So when I'm in my 40s, I might be 250 pounds. Who knows?
Hey, buddy, don't talk like 40s is so old, my man.
I know. You just,
man. No, I'm just joking, buddy. No, I hear what you're saying completely. Now we are 3 years apart. I'm an 82. You're an 85, right? Right on. So now, Schmitty. So like, I wanted to point out this other thing because I'm very impressed with this thing I'm about to talk about. Now, I was a defenseman growing up.
Yeah.
When I got to the London Knights, the Hunters told me the only way you are going to have a chance to play in the National Hockey League is if you become a winger. Now, that trend is very popular with the tough guys. You, my friend, are playing defense. Now, I mean, I see, but the lineup said you were the projected lineup. Remember?
Yeah, I play same thing though. Same thing. I play where I'm needed.
But you do play defense though, right?
I can play defense. I've last year probably played half the games defense and half the game forward. Right now we're so deep right now. I actually didn't play. I didn't get in the lineup in Elmira. They obviously didn't have anybody for me
No, they didn't.
So I was healthy, but when I play D, like, you know, I'm kind of a 6D man in our lineup, 7th D man. But I can log some minutes on the back end. Typically as a forward, as a 10th forward, I'm kind of that energy guy.
Yep.
Some nights I might only get a shift or two.
That's just okay.
Depending on the night, depending what's needed out of me to win the game, right?
Yeah. Now, are you loud on the bench?
I'm pretty.
Or do you kind of keep it kosher? Like, I
keep it pretty cool. Like a lot of times, the older I get, the more calm I am. But we got a lot of guys. So a lot of times I can kind of, because I've watched I've been around the game a long time. I can kind of, not that I can give, not that I'm like, I don't like to be like an advice giver, just because sometimes I feel like giving advice is, I don't know, almost condescending. I don't know how to word words, but like, if a kid's getting down on himself, I'll try and bring him up. You know what I mean? I'm kind of a positive.
Yeah, you're the motivator, but the team motivator.
Yeah, but I'm not like a big, loud.
Yeah.
Obviously the way I play is very loud and eccentric, but obviously might be, like I'm an energy guy in the room, but on the bench I'm not a big screamer, and I definitely try to be a positive guy regardless. I don't respond very well to negativity. Like some guys might need that kick in the ass, but so I can't, if I don't respond well to negativity, I'm never going to be negative. You know what I mean? So, or I try not to. I mean, nobody's perfect. I'm perfect, but so
you're the closest thing to perfect, my man.
I'm the closest thing to perfect there is.
Like Mr. Perfect.
Yeah, but we, like our team right now, Sheriff, like from the top down, and it's a different locker room than last year. We lost in the finals last year, and we actually got 3 guys from Watertown, the team that beat us. The guy that scored the overtime winner to bury us last year.
Is on your team now?
Is on our team. We traded.
You guys signed him, eh? That's sick. What's his name?
His name's Lane King. Good
Lane
player.
King.
He's from he's a Wisconsin kid.
Oh, he's an American boy, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a really good guy. He's a funny guy, great golfer. And our room right now, Sheriff, is so good. Like our leadership, like our captain Josh Petrantonio is like a pretty good guy, really responsible. And I remember last year Whitey, I forget how it came up, but Whitey's like, man, like I think the only other captain I ever played, this is a guy that played 500 games in the show. So I think the only I forget how he said it. He's like, that guy is very similar to Matt Sundin as far as his leadership capability.
Wow. So, that's a statement.
When our coach Jerome Bouchard he's a Saskatchewan guy, played a hard-nosed game. So I mean, he does have a certain amount of respect for the game being played that hard-nosed way. Our leadership, right from the top down is unbelievable. So it's definitely a good room, right from, like I said, right from our captain to the young, these young kids making so it's pretty cool. We got probably half Canadians.
Yeah.
A third, we got two European, 2 Latvians, and the rest are Americans. So probably half, a little over half Canadians. Couple, 3, 4 Western Canadian guys. A lot of Toronto, Southern Ontario guys.
Yeah.
No, we had the 2 Frenchmen we had last year. We had one kid from, I guess he was from Halifax, but had a French last.
Francais, yeah.
He's in the coast now, and
Nice.
then we had actually one of my closest friends on the team, MJ Graham. I don't know if you know MJ.
I know the name.
Yeah, he's playing in Quebec this year. He's playing in the LNAH this year.
Is he? What team? Do you know? It's all right. He's there. I'm gonna look him up for sure.
Yeah, he is one of the funniest human beings I ever played with in my career. He's like one of those guys that, like, you know, he worked hard, played hard, right? Like he had the biggest legs I've ever seen on a human being. Like, I think his pants, I think he had to get specially made pants because his quad big. Yeah. The only other guy was Brent Culleton. You know Cully?
Oh yeah.
Cully had some big legs, but yeah, MJ, it was definitely tough, you know, with Whitey getting traded to Detroit and MJ, you know, going to the LNAH, and then, you know, some other, you know, it just is what it is. It's hockey, you know, it's never going to be the same room as it was the year before.
Yeah.
But
new journey.
New journey, exactly. And I mean, the focus, the goal still remains the same. And like I said, it's a great group. And I think, like I said, I think it's just a testament to your leadership. I think, you know, if you got good people in a leadership role, you know, that are willing to be accountable for everybody, I think it definitely, you know, kind of reflects on the rest of the team, right?
100%. So I have a confession to make, Schmitty.
Yeah.
So now, it's been a little while since I've done a Zoom show. I've been doing a lot of like live shows in the studio, right?
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, like, we're buddies, right? I forgot we were doing a show. I thought we were just chatting as buddies. But I'll tell you, that attests to how real this podcast is, because this is like really good content, bro. I swear to God, for a couple minutes, I'm not saying the whole time. For a couple minutes, I forgot we were on a show, and I'm just like, you know what? Hockey guy to hockey guy, we're just talking about what we want to talk about, man. Right? So I really appreciate it. No, I do, Schmitty. It hasn't happened before.
As long as I've known you, you and I can just, we've sat down and just bullshit. I remember at IceWARS, we just sat and had the day of the fights. We sat for 3 hours at the breakfast table and just shot the shit.
Yeah. Now, okay. So now this is what that reminded me of. Before we go, Poor Boy Media, your boy. Okay. Now, this masterpiece that's being put together, is that for this entire season, including IceWARS in the summer, and then is it all being put together, or like how is that? Tell the audience what's happening, bro. There's some big documentary stuff happening with the King of the Rink here. Just explain that before we go, Smitty.
Yeah. So Damon and I, we tossed around the idea about how he's gonna create this documentary. And then obviously, like, you've seen the content that he created with IceWARS.
Oh man, it's so good.
Which is cool, really cool and like wild. But I think the direction that he wants to go with the documentary is more like a day in the life, you know. So it'll be like almost like, I don't know, like maybe that Chiefs documentary they did in Quebec. Yeah. Just, you know, just like my day to day, right? Like, you know, like getting up, getting going, hanging out with my roommates, golfing, you know, going, you know, maybe we'll do an episode on the road, while we're down in Mississippi, which would be cool, or up north somewhere, who knows, right? It'd be cool. Did one, I think, when we go up to Detroit and play against Whitey, because, you know, obviously Ian's been such a huge part of my life. And I mean, we were inseparable last season. We literally, there was 8 months of my life where I don't think Whitey and I were probably the furthest we were away from each other was when I was on the bench and he was on the ice. You know.
Yeah, buddy. No, I hear you. And that's a beautiful thing, bro. That's a beautiful thing. I love hearing that. I know that the audience is like really appreciates hearing stuff like that, especially the fact that a lot of my base is from Ontario, is from Toronto. We all appreciate Whitey. He was a really good defenseman for the Maple Leafs, man. And he sure put in his time, right? He played a lot of games in the show. And that's really cool, man. That's your best friend, bro. That's really cool stuff, man. You know what I mean? And like a lot of people might not know that, but now they do. So that's cool.
I was feel like, it's it was definitely there was some long face in the room, when we heard he got traded. I mean, I probably knew before anybody knew. Obviously, I knew before, I knew. But when the news actually broke, there was, definitely some sad feelings. But it's the game, and it's a good move. It's a good move for Whitey and his family, for him, to be close to his family in Winnipeg, as well as his family in Toronto, and to go back to Detroit, where he played. He was one of the best D-men in the NHL when he was in Detroit.
Yeah, he was.
It's obviously. Selfishly, I would love for him to be sitting on the couch next to me right now. But, for him and his family and his journey, I know it's probably the best thing for him. But selfishly, I'm like, well, I just missed my friend. You know what I mean? But
yes,
it is what it is. And, like I said, it definitely doesn't change my attitude towards, how this season is or anything. It's just, like I said, I miss my buddy. But
yeah, man.
That's the game, man.
Yeah, no, Schmit, that's really cool, man. And like, I know Whitey's probably going to check out this episode, and like, that means a lot to hear like someone talk about you like that. And that's some pretty cool stuff. And the credit is due. Trust me. Like for Whitey, like I didn't say that right. I love to give credit when credit is due, and I see that you do the same. So that's really awesome, bro. The things that we were able to go through today, Schmitty, like just with the fighting, like the different types of fighting, the mindset, the characters that have come into the Federal League, Ice Wars, it's like, bro, honestly, like I really enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed it so much that I forgot I was even doing it. That's how much into the conversation we were.
I just thought we were having a visit.
Yeah, man. So like I just want to thank you. I mean, we've gone over double the time that I told my producer we're going to do. I have no regrets. I was on the edge of my seat. I know that the audience and then the followers appreciate it so much, buddy. I know that you've gained more followers today by people learning more about you, bro, because you're so dynamic. You're such a big character. I wish there was more players like you, Justin Schmit. I really wish there was, because our game would be a lot more popular, especially in the United States of America, if we had more Justin Schmits. I appreciate that your team is using you the way that they're using you, but I think that just for the entertainment level, I think that the boys feel so much more comfortable when you're in the lineup. I think that you should be in every single game, right? Doesn't matter how much you play. Everyone has their different role, and you know what I mean. And I'm a Schmit supporter. I want to see you in the lineup every night.
I appreciate that. It's it is what it is. I try not to. I mean, obviously, if I could be in the lineup every night, I want to be too. But sometimes. Especially in this, this league, a lot of these young guys definitely they need reps too, right? And it's
oh yeah,
we play a team sport, and whatever, whatever's best for the team. If it was just about me, I'd play tennis or something, right? So I mean,
there you go, buddy. But that's super cool. I hope that the young listeners are really paying attention to this attitude, guys, because I'm telling you one thing. This is the attitude that will have you play, not only get to the pros, but to continue to play. because there's certain reasons why guys kept getting contract offers to come back, and it's because they figured it out, like Justin Schmit. So all you young guys out there, I really, really hope you watch this at least twice. Listen to this man's mentality. This is how you play year after year of professional hockey, and some. You're involved in so much stuff, Schmitty. So, dude, I'm going to end it there only because this is the most awesome as awesome can get, okay? So before we go, did you have anything that you wanted to say, or can I thank the listeners for tuning in to another episode of the show?
I like I said, I really appreciate you having me on. And like I said, it's so much fun. And like, I think, you know, people that do listen get an opportunity to get to know myself, you know, people that just see on the ice, they obviously get to know a little bit more about myself and, you know, how I work. And I mean, even yourself. Like I said, man, I'm looking forward to this summer because I stay down here pretty much full time. You know, I live in States full time, pretty much. I go back home a little bit. But you know, my plan right now, and I mean, obviously plans can change, but I definitely plan on ripping up to heading up to Ontario once the season's over. Cause like I said, I want to spend some time with Whitey. And you know, I got a lot of teammates that do go back home to, you know, Hamilton, Toronto, that area in the summertime, and definitely do want to spend some time with you and get in the studio and have a bowl.
100%, bro. We're definitely gonna do that. I'm definitely gonna get you in the studio. Even if I sneak you in, you're getting in my studio, buddy. I gotta have the king of the rink in my studio. But I want to thank you again, Schmitty. I want to thank the listeners for tuning into another episode of The Sheriff, featuring the Cruiserweight king of the rink, Justin Schmit. Man, I'm so lucky to have you, buddy. And guys, we're gonna see you next time. Woo!